time galuva ngau Mama mana tetangau Hati dombeng ming maka besinge kama Dikwanile solo bung my baby jama You were so beautiful, out of control Trust me this is low Mama mana dombeng Alala chombi Dalam ko papa toch Dalam ko kapa toch Funa banawa toch It's like I'm going crazy on my side Dalam pa yi plete yo kal Dalam ko kapa toch Dalam ko papa toch Funa banawa toch It's like I'm going crazy on my side Dalam pa yi plete yo kal Yes, time dalam bangau Mama mana tetangau Beng beng maka besinge kama Dikwanile solo bung my baby jama You were so beautiful, out of control Trust me this is low Manu muna domi Alala chomi Ushepa kulen kwa kuti chomi Tambalam minalang Pakamam comeback boy Sengzolal amadu Kana batata machansi Kana bangona lebana sisi leba Kana bashonge la pan Tine talk, tine frat Funu hela pan Dia pa, di ice Kon bandi mkalela kuba Figile za tuk Figile la shuk Figile za tuk Shikalu kika kotul Yes, time galu bangau Mama mana tetangau Beng beng maka besinge kama Dikwanile solo bung my baby jama
And that's how we start the show, Madlongoti.
That's how we start off the show.
Yeah.
Galoku Usoso Boy Forshi with a song titled Mine. Right, Mbugeli kesi kuyemkela kanjalo ke apha expressions. This is your host Carlos SABC unonkanyezi. Namhlanje ke wena Azaria uMzantsi Afrika wonke uphela marks the anniversary of the 1976 Soweto uprising and 31 years since the advent of democracy in South Africa. The uprising Bukeli eyaqala kanye pha kwizitrato zase Soweto and spread nationwide significantly impacted the political landscape and contributed to the eventual dismantling of apartheid. Sixele kanye kulo mxholo namhlanje.
Leso yisona ihloko esikhuluma ngaso namhlanje Mbukeli. Sekudlule cishe iminyaka engamashumi amahlanu kwenzeka lesibhicongo Mbukeli. Now 49 years later, intsha isibhekene nezinye izingqinamba that are unique to intsha yanamuhla Mbukeli lapha eNingizimu Afrika. Ngibala izidakamizwa, GBV, corruption, udlame emphakathini yethu, ubugebengu kanye nokungatholakali kwemisebenzi Mbukeli. Now it's time for us to sit back and go down memory lane. Sikhumbuze Mbukeli ngemvelaphi yethu nanokuthi kwenzakalani ngalolu suku 49 years ago. Ake sibukele lo mbiko Mbukeli sohlanganisela umdidiyeli wethu uMziyanda Mbedla.
On the morning of June 16, 1976, thousands of students from the African township of Soweto outside Johannesburg gathered at their schools to participate in a student-organized protest demonstration. Many of them carried signs that read, "Down with Afrikaans and Bantu education." On the way, the students were met by heavily armed police. They fired tear gas and later live ammunition. The media revealing their brutality to the world and resulting in an international outcry. The day is celebrated in order to recognize the role of the youth in the liberation of South Africa from the apartheid regime.
Interesting insight esibonisayo imbali esisuka kuyo ingakumbi xa sijonga kwi-June 1976 Soweto uprising. Well, to help me unpack this discussion in studio, we are joined by the youth leader of June 16, 1976 Soweto uprising. Sithetha ngaye kaloku utata uSeth Mazibuko. Alongside him is Nicoline Trom, who is a youth activist of today. Baba, Nicoline, thank you so much for joining us. And happy Youth Day.
Thank you. Well, it might be Happy Youth Day, but to many of us it is not.
Yeah.
This is the day in which we counted corpses. The Hector Petersons passed on this day.
Yeah.
And there is nothing that can make us happy until such time that you as young people can take this into another level.
Yeah.
It must be able to be a story that needs young people to be action-oriented and critical to themselves and also critical to politics of the day.
Yeah,
That's where it
action
come from.
orientated. That's quite profound. And I mean, you were there on the day during the June 1976 Soweto uprising. I mean, what were your hopes? What were your fears? You know, ndifuna usithatha usibuyisele ngolwa suku lwanamhlanje. Did you ever think to yourself into okubana 49 years later you'd still be alive?
Look, first of all, one must mention this, that many of us were forced into taking out to the streets. I was only 16-year-old. And that means I'm sitting here, I don't know how it is to be young. At that age, we are expected to lead and to actually free your colleagues, your comrades. And you yourself are but a child. Never after that there was ever a time when one enjoyed being young. Immediately after that, there was a law in South Africa called Section 6 of the Terrorism Act of 1966 that allowed the South African police to detain you alone in the cell, where you will have to even invite in a cell, invite an ant, invite a fly to keep you going for the day. And this is the pain. After that, Robben Island, 7 years. I hardly had a school, I mean, I'm watching as well. And I hardly had the prison uniform that fitted me. And I look back at all these and say, what did we get out of it? Then I go back, my answer comes from Solomon Mahlang. When Solomon Mahlang, one of the student leaders of that time, when he went down to the gallows being sentenced to death, Solomon Mahlang then says, Mama, the tree of liberation shall be watered by the blood of the martyrs.
Sure.
How many of our young people today are enjoying the fruit? Not even the fruit, but even the shade of the tree. You have just in your opening made the whole list of things that we're experiencing. Bear in mind, that list doesn't include white people. The drugs you mentioned are people black like you and I. The GPV, I'm sorry, I become emotional. It's not there in the white space. It's still that space that still needs black people to fight against. And to me, you're talking about 32 years. My reflection even goes further than that. It becomes 49 years. And
Quite.
I think the strongest part is this, that as young people that I'm working with, as we are going towards the 50th anniversary, we are going to be having a very interesting project where we are finishing off the march, because it ended up people being shot. Didn't reach the destination. And we are insisting that we are going to take, and let's take you, young people, the stones that we're throwing in 1976, you guys should be gathering them. This is the period that we are saying, let's take those stones now and walk with you so that we can get there and build, use those stones now to build.
Sure, that was quite hectic. Imilomo, it's all tata kukhuza. And Nicolene, is it really worth celebrating Youth Day? Certainly it isn't. It is not a happy Youth Day, considering, you know, the challenges that young people are facing: GBV, unemployment, drugs. There's a lot to
Kolisa, to hear this, it actually breaks my heart. Ngenxa yokokuba our youth, unfortunately, we are suffering from loss of identity. And kubhlungu, because everything else, the drugs that you had mentioned, the violence, it is birthed by that loss of identity. Tina ingxaki yethu, we do not have a philosophy that informs our thoughts, our speech, and our actions. Nina tata, you had that ubuntu that made you to do things ngokwendlela. Your youth was lost, not because it was lost, because of the way that you guys were thinking was not from that time. It was because of the chains that were that kept you bound at that time. You knew that you could not keep on being bounded by those chains.
Yeah.
There was a life after those chains, and you knew that your ancestors were with you at that time. Tina, we took the freedom that you guys fought for granted, because we do not have the philosophy that really informs us. We do not have a guideline, because the loss of your identity has birthed class struggle. We're finding ourselves having to want to fit into the system that we do not belong in. We are so invested into wanting to be like the Western system, because you guys were forced to fight a system that we want to belong to, to belong in, and that's where the problem is. That this system that they had been fighting against, that we cannot allow our children to be slaves. We are willing to become the slaves that they did not want. They did not want the generation that is coming to become that.
And the big
slaves.
question, Nicoline, is how do we reclaim this lost identity? Let's hold it there for now. Mbukeli, khawuhabula ufince ngawo lo mbuzo. Sisaqhubeka nokuphawula usuku lwabantu abatsha. Is it worth celebrating? Now ngumuntu omthuhlele ekhaya uyazazi ingxaki ojongene nazo 31 years into democracy. What do you have to say? Be sure to link us up on our social media platforms. For now, Mastikwe Evenkileni, you're watching Expressions.
Siphinde sikwamukele mbukeli sabukele uhlelo lakho oluyintandokazi Expressions khona la kunqa phambili SABC 1 Mzansi for sure. Now intsha yango 1976 mbukeli yayibhekene nezingqinamba ezahlukahlukile kunalezi thina esibhekane nazo namuhla lapha eningizimu Afrika. Bona babelwa nokwecwaswa mbukeli futhi nokufundiswa ngolimi ebebangaliqondi. Thina we are fighting against GBV, corruption, violence in our communities. Kuningi mbukeli. Kuzona zonke lezi ngqinamba esibhekene nazo, do you still think it's relevant for us to commemorate and celebrate amalanga afana naleli lanamuhla? Lowo yiwona umbuzo esibuzayo namhlanje lapha ku Expressions, and this is what you had to say.
I don't think it is important to celebrate, because as youth we are being killed and all that. GBV le henhla na mintiro ikona, so I don't think celebration is right. Either kulanguswa ndlela le kungata herisiwa gender based violence, and then kulanguswa ndlela le government ingata provide mintiro for youth.
I can nagana gore important because of Ezruna to start with khona no rat haba for maphelo a rona, understand bana ba bolaiwa every day, basadi ba bolaiwa every day, wa tlhalohanya mesebetsing reduce as youth, how sa tsebe motho o ka sekene, I understand. So even some companies these days is too bad for mosadi santsoro ba le somebody for gore o kene just ko mmerekong, wa tlhalohanya motho tla botsa re phelang shebele.
It is good because for the history that we have been through for the past, but for now and this stake is really important for kuba celebrate youth, because they they've been raped. Most of youth, they are not working, they've got the diplomas, they've got the degrees, still at home not working. So I don't think it's worthy to celebrate the Youth Day. We can celebrate, but for youth here today, and it's necessary for celebrate, because they're still staying at home without job. Like most of youth, they're selling tomatoes. Most of youth, they are being peace because of abakumimtiro.
Lose momentum or this thing of Youth Day. Yes, honestly speaking, Arasali in the pa elungure. It used to be before, because whenever I know Youth Day for now, you want to drink and celebrate and all those.
Uniform and only to go and drink with the uniform. So we're not celebrating, but we're in the freedom, but we're freedom and everything. Yeah. So we just wear the uniform and go and drink.
South Africa. Abantu bayiphatha kakuhle, abantu abafela ilizwe le South Africa. Students abakhulu bazi ukuthi abantu abalala balola inkululeko amandla.
Yeah, ngicabanga ngathi important. Yokuba some of us ekumate opportunity, the cameraman so ekumate opportunity ka the event because kuna vanhu vo tala ukumko va ri government angayiniki ntirho na yinini but at least ba endle a certain day ku celebrate Youth Day isuku ra yona vantshwa, so obviously na ekumate opportunity blind.
It's important to celebrate June 16th because these people yebasifela ukuthi sithole the freedom we get now, so yeah, it is important.
Ezo zizimvo zabantu abatsha khona on the ground bebalisa ngendlela mhlawumbe bebaluleke ngabo okanye ngayo olusuku lwanamhlanje. Senayo kalakho apha enqubeni utata uSeth Mazibuko kunye noNicoline Trom. Siphinde sinamkele kwakhona enqubeni. I mean ngaphambili phayana emotions were very high when utata ezityandikila esibalisela ngemvelaphi nangembali yangalamini. Nicoline busisho into kubana hayi ubungaqonto ukubana izofikela apha. As young people, zininzi izinto esijongene nazo. I mean, the high rate of unemployment. I mean, just recently, a 17-year-old was gunned down in El Dorado Park because of into ye gangsterism. Kucho umntana ona 17 already seyekwazi ukuphatha umpu abulele abantu. Zininzi iziganeko ezimbi kuthi singabantu abatsha. Now, how do we reclaim our identity as young people? Which voice do we listen to? We live kwi-era ka social media. Sencho kuninzo sekuchintshile tata. What will it take for us to reclaim the identity yethu?
You've just said something about the issue, Nicoline, of losing Ubuntu. That's where we even start. Immediately when we said it is not important to be black. It is not important to, we even teach our kids, we say to them, that is why at the age 17 they can kill.
Yeah.
Something that was never familiar in the African context. And some of us, in that very tender age of 16, were able to be taught black consciousness.
Thank you.
We're able to appreciate our blackness. Yeah. We're able to appreciate, adding also on what's happening, and that hurts also most, is that our very black government distort the history of the black people.
Thank you.
And compromises it. I challenge you, go and check in the curriculum, the current curriculum, how many black people are spoken about? How many pages are there about June 16?
Yeah. Now, Nicoline, how do we rewrite that history? Because Obaba is bringing something, very important, especially if you're going to look at the system of our education, our curriculum. Isemva kakhulu njengoba sithi into kubana imbali yethu singabantu abamnyama ayibandakanya, or if iyabandakanywa it's often diluted. And which brings me to something that occurred today, because we do know that there were commemorations all over the country. Usekela mongameli welu uPaul Mashatile bese Northwest nalapho city bafuna ukuyisiphula nengcambu umba we-unemployment by actually giving funding which is about 20 million rands. Now you ask yourself into kubana abantwana basezilalini bazawuxhamla kusini na?
They can give billions and billions as long as they are running away from who we are as black people.
They cannot even take it into our curriculum.
They cannot change anything. As long as we are not resuscitating Ubuntu. And what they had done with Ubuntu Baba, they had reduced it to a random act of kindness. Funeke sibuyise Ubuntu in all its pillars. Nina tata, you were informed by the raw of Ubuntu that is standing on the 5 African truths of the Creator, acknowledging who the Creator is, acknowledging nature, what nature is. That's what informs us as Abantu Abamnyama, acknowledging our ancestors, knowing who our ancestors are, acknowledging the laws of Ma'at, knowing that I cannot govern myself. That's why namhlanje you find that umntana ona 14 years can be amputed and sold as imithi for business and anything. Acknowledging I am because you are. As long as Ubuntu is done as just a random act of kindness or a slogan of Batupili,
but how
we are not going
is that
anywhere.
When
that is very much
because
practical.
We are in the 21st century.
That is very
how do we
much
go
practical,
back and,
Kolisa, as long as we know that know thyself, know thy environment, know thy enemy. If sex can be taught at school, why can Ubuntu not be taught at school? If izinto that ezingasisi ndawo can be taught at school, why can we not taught our culture and our izithethe zethu zingakwazi ukufundiswa ezikolweni?
I've got a simple way of how our children have even been distorted. I was saying today, just before this, our children spend more time in the bedroom than in the boardroom. And that is why even one of your persons that were interviewing there says sometimes it even calls for us to lower our trousers to get a job.
Bukeli,
and it's done by our people.
Ishushu masibambe apho tata wam. I know iyavuta because ngenene nangenyaniso kuyabonakala into yokuba uMzantsi Afrika uyachabalala. Mbukeli mawurhabula ufince apha evenkileni.
Kuwona wonke amagumbi amane omhlaba noma ikuphi la usibukele khona umuntu omusha ahlala phansi nethezeka. This is Expressions right here on SABC 1. Now mbukeli, our Deputy President umnumzana Paul Mashatile udalule ukuthi babalelwa cishe ku 9.2 million abantu abasha abangasebenzi kuleli laseNingizimu Afrika. Okubike mbukeli ukuthi intsha eningi engasebenzi izinikela kwizidakamizwa. Umdidiyeli wethu uGiven Mutsiyane uhlanganisele nanku umbiko olandelayo. Kodwa ke mbukeli sithanda ukuxwayisa ababukeli bethu abanezinhliziyo ezibuthaka ngalombiko.
Machita nginibingelele nginamukele Expressions. Thank you so much for welcoming us with spaces senu nanokuthi nizosifundisa kabanzi mayelana nempilo eniphilayo. When did you start ukungena kwidakamizwa? Ngiyazi ukuthi amanye amajita sometimes azoqala ngesigarette mhlambe kuze insango there and then they migrate over and over. How did it start for you?
17, 18. Yeah, lapha singijinda iskena. Yeah, lapho singicala khona ukubhema from iskena vele. Lapho ngiqale khona. Ngabona khona ukuthi into engiphaphamisa ngithola. Ngangena yile inkawuza. After inkawuza bathatha isikhathi nyana ngibhema inkawuza naye futhi ngajoina ngithola. Bathi izolo. after izolo manje sengiyabona ukuthi ngathi siyangidonsela lapho ke sengangena ke estradini ngibounce ke manje.
Can you tell us about the drug ukuthi iyenzani exactly mangena emzimbeni wakho?
Mangena emzimbeni I think it's switch on like wonke ama cells because it makes you very energetic. You don't sleep, you don't have any appetite at all, and then like you be up for 72 hours, which is 3 days. You can be up. You know, it's a bad thing. It's a very, very bad thing.
Keeps you awake the entire night. Yeah. So sometimes kuba nzima ukuthi emalokishini abantu bazithole lezi zinto. Nina ku easy kanjani ukuthi elokishini nizithole? And also sikhulume ngezaka, is it cheap?
Thina sihlala elokishini yabo. Thina sayazi into eyenzakalayo. Every corner ungayithola.
So budget mhlambe ngeviki ungadinga malini mawuthi ubheme serial?
Mawubhema kuna limit. Imali mayikhona yeah 1,000 week.
Can go beyond 1,000 not noticing because of like ama 50 rand or spend ayo. Thola ukuthi maybe 6 uyabangena 50 rand mangena after 2 hours 50 rand masection ilanga so ubona ukuthi so 450 uthola umunye uyenza nayo phethe 50 uthola umunye uyenza nayo phethe 50 yeah so it can be I can say ngelanga boma 550
gets bad ushiyane phone ushiyane nepathu ushiyane TV yeah
so it gets to a point where uyaqala uthengisa izinto noma une jacket right or incaza right then uyayihambisa because of imali yokuthi uyobhema. A lot of people have been complaining ukuthi ugovernment wethu ngathi akenzi enough ukuthi aqede ama drugs emakasiweni. Do you think amaphoyisa no government are doing enough ukuthi aqede ama drugs?
They're not doing enough because of they are involved. Lento kuyistoppa I won't say ukuthi ungayistoppa stoppa lepha phezulu because of there's money involved and now there's big money involved. The government is involved how they come in here to our country.
I think very is the government who sells these things to destroy the youth. Gore ba bona gore okay like youth especially ba le future understand ibolayane ka bobona ngitshola.
They're not doing enough. They will never do enough because of they are involved in this type of things. It's a big thing. Us here is one this man trade ngama 50 rand. That's why when there's big drug bust there's like 3 million of drug bust which is like there's more money and people who have money here in this country.
So lama 50 rand nama 100 rand eswabona like asimale ngane there's much more money eguma drugs.
There's millions of millions in this thing.
Yeah. So amajita amaningi akhala ngokuthi awaspani. Amajita amaningi akhala ngokuthi ipana azikho eSouth Africa. Do you think mhlambe if bo spana kube awubhemi mhlambe?
Mengizobhema sidinga ubona ngispana but nenyeke yeah bengibhemile way ngithola ngibhema ngakhona because ngiyazi ukuthi akusasa vele ngespanini kumele ngiyayine ngenzeni
ngingaspend emsebenzini isikhathi lana ngithi sibhema hayi ukuthi manje ngivuke ngayihalela sporekile most of the time.
I would still be smoking if I was working because it's a thing of mina self yabo ikamugare ga kanjalo juba but then never to the extent very no.
Would you want to quit or would you want to get some sort of help?
All I can say the youth is the future and if you neglect the youth you have destroyed the future.
All I can say what I see is like the government and the youth is very disconnected. Everyone has like dreams. It's like not we do have dreams, but then it's very hard to get in. As you know nowadays, in order like even like anywhere to work, just need someone you know. Uthatha ukufaka emsebenzini. You understand? Now as I am now, I wish that like I carried on in school and knowledge because knowledge online is key. Is key.
Nepotism ya gobatsa gagolo because o tshwele motho o ile sekolong very qualified or o tshwele motho has the skills to acquire whatever ya batla go etsa but since asa tsebe motho o right ha gone thola span kena sa ba stressed wabo from corruption to stress anxiety wabo to gore like we release stress like anxiety ka through
Do you think it's still important for us to celebrate Youth Month namalanga afana no June 16, which is Youth Day?
Mina ngcono ngilale yabona. Ya ngcono ngilale futhi mina ngisenza into esibhangi ngcono ngigile ngoba sekuyafana yabona nale youth lekhula no so abasayicavi le thing le.
Kwaze kwabhlungu mbukeli, those are lived realities zabantu abatsha eMzantsi Afrika. Siqala ngolokuhlobo ke isiqendu sokuqala. Thank you so much to my guest Babu Mazibuko. Thank you so much. It was such an honor to have you. Nicoline, thank you so much for sharing your insights and just reminding us as young people to reclaim our identity, and that's where our power is. Ngokumbukeli masithi qhwi evenkileni, but do not move a muscle kuba xa sibuya uAzaria usiphethele ezinye indwendwe. You are watching Expressions.
Siphinde sikwamukele mbukelo sabukele Expressions khona la kunqa phambili uSABC 1 Mzansi for sure. Uma ngabe usanda ungena mbukeli, namuhla sibungaza usuku lwabantu abasha futhi ke sixoxa mayelana nengqinamba ezibhekene nabantu abasha lapha eNingizimu Afrika. Ngaphambi kokuthi siye itolo mbukeli, we saw a shocking story of young men that are based in Alexandra abazinikele futhi bangene shi kwizidakamizwa ngenxa yokuthi mbukeli imisebenzi ayikho eSouth Africa. Leso yisona isizathu abashoyo bayasho ukuthi uma ngabe besebenza kube mhlambe asibhemi. To help me discuss this topic further, I am joined by Nicole Nkambule obuya kwinhlangano iSanka, and I'm also joined by Tato Silowa noisishoshovu sabantu abasha. Gentlemen, welcome to Expressions.
Thank you for having us.
Nicole, ngifuna uqala ngawe before siya eitolo. I went down to Alexandra and I saw how easy it is for amajita ukuthi athole idakamizwa. It's easily accessible. You work a lot with abantu abasha. How dire is the situation on the ground? Kubi kangakanani?
The situation is very dire, Azaria, because as this is commemorating the Youth Month, substance use disorder has affected the youth quite significantly. As you've just said right now, to reiterate what you've just said, accessibility of drugs is so easy that you will find a 9-10-year-old young girls and boys who are addicted to substance use disorder. So that paints a picture for you to show you that accessibility of substances is so easy right now, more especially in township like Alexandra, where you've been from. Just right the corner, you'll find someone who is selling these illicit substances to those minors, and then you will also have them being protected by those minors that they are selling these illicit substances too. So that shows you that accessibility is easy. And then of course the effects are going to be dire because each and every corner where you turn, more especially in those townships, it's so easy to get those substances.
Yeah, and I know that as in Tlangano Yesanka, you run a lot of different programs, and with one of your colleagues who was saying kuma rehab when kukhona labantwana abancane abaneminyaka ewu-10. That's how bad it is. Now, Tato, just to rope you in on the conversation as well, I know that you work a lot with Inja and Pagatin, especially in the Val area. How bad is the situation that side? Nanoguti futhi abantu abasha uma uxoxa nabo, when you engage with young people, bathi yini inkinga?
Well, thank you very much, Azaria. So the issue here, it's the approach of the government in terms of creating sustainable opportunities for the youth. So now the last resort for the youth is the drugs, because now they are accessible, as my colleague has alluded here. So when you enter the streets, you find qualified engineers, you find qualified nurses, doctors, even people who have graduated from their law degrees, but they can't find opportunities. So this is what pushes them towards those drugs, because it goes all the way to the psychological part, because now they start to think, okay, I've done my best, I've served my time in varsity, I've went to school, but what about me? Why am I not having opportunities? And even if you can see the Val area there, the industrial part is very, very collapsing. It's collapsing at this stage because You can see your companies there, they are shutting down and stuff. The intervention from the government is very slow. But right now, there is a discussion of what? Of the national dialogue. That national dialogue, if you can just have a look at the money that is going to be spent there, why don't we focus on the matters at hand here? Because we know what is the problem. We know the problem. So now, what are we going to talk about? Because what we are supposed to do, let's channel the funds that we have to go and discuss there as the elites towards the sustainable growth and participation of the youth into economical participation.
Ake mbukeli ukhumbule lapha ekhaya ukuthi ungaba ingxenye yale ngxoxo sishayele ku 0117940631 ukuze uzwakalise uvo lwakho mayelana nesihloko esikhuluma ngaso namhlanje lapha ohlelweni. You know, Tato just spoke of something. He alluded to the psychological effects of ukungatholi umsebenzi, and there's a growing sense of hopelessness and frustrations among abantu abasha. CV siyawafaka kodwa impendulo siwatholi ama-CV siyawafaka ninini siwathole emgqomeni entanta nomoya somewhere else, and there are people that were speaking ukuthi there's also nepotism ukuthi ukuze ungene emsebenzini fanele uwazi umuntu, and approximately 1.9 million of young people that are aged between the age of 15 to 34 are classified as discouraged work seekers. Abantu abasha ingathi sebaphosa ithawula. Mhlambe ngicela ungichazisele ukuthi what sort of psychological effects does ukungasebenzi come with?
To begin with, Azaria, not working alone, more especially for a youth, comes with significant pressures from society. First, using the three level of intervention: micro, meso, and macro. Micro being from home. At home, you've just went to university. They sent you to university to study and to come and help a family with whatever social is that they are faced with. And then now, you coming back with a degree and not being able to find employment, that creates unnecessary pressure for an individual. Also going to meso, in an immediate group of people living, whether in your streets or in Paratin. So you find that you've been looking up to when you're going to university. Some of the children are looking up to you. So when you went to university, they were motivated and encouraged that they need to also do well into their academics. And then now when they see you not working, it also created pressure also in that level. And then macro in your community now, you don't bring the change that you ought to bring when you went to university. So now on those levels now, all the effects, they go to an individual. Then that's where now the psychological effects come in. You find the individual being depressed. They will be diagnosed with depression because of all the pressures that they are being exposed to. And then also you find that others, they will then be diagnosed with schizophrenia. Schizophrenia because of the lack of sleep, the stress that comes with everything. So unemployment plays a significant role into the psychiatric aspects of an individual. And then that's what now they resort to substances. Yes.
All right. Mbukeli njengoba bengishilo ukuthi nawe ungaba ingxenye yale ngxoxo ukhumbule ukuthi you can call us on 011-714-0631. I want us to do a bit of comparison between intsha yango 1976 and intsha yamanje. Are we a lost generation? Because sometimes we are not angry enough. Like there are situations and there are things that arise emphakathini wethu, but thina siyintsha we tweet about those things. Kuhlekwe ngazo ku Twitter kuphelele kanjalo. Are we not mad enough now as intsha yakule nsuku?
Okay, now the way in which things are being run in this country currently here, on paper, everything is good. It's all right. But practically, nothing is working. So the youth of 1976, they fought against the apartheid government and they succeeded in that. But when we succeeded into the democratic era, right now we've got leaders who are there and they are controlling our emotions. Because now, if we say we want this to happen, they will push us to an extent that we go and protest, and then they will get there and calm us down and say that we are going to respond to the memorandum. However, situation on the ground is contrary to what they are going to do, because they are not going to respond to the memorandum. They contained your emotions, now they move to another area. That's how things are. So we are not a lost generation. We are just policy, in terms of policy, we are being disadvantaged.
All
so
right.
we are being disadvantaged in that regard. However, we can't say that we are a lost generation. It's just that our frustrations at this current moment, we cannot say that we are going to the streets because we have seen that in the previous years and stuff. That's why we're just posting it there. And then now it's fine now because we know the response of the government, how it's going to be.
Asibambe lapho okwamanje ake osolwazi bayasho ukuthi we are not a lost generation. Mbukeli ngabe uthini umbono wakho ngehloko esikhuluma ngaso namuhla Mbukeli? Ingabe is the government doing enough ukwakha imisebenzi lapha eNingizimu Afrika? Are we doing enough ukunqanda intsha yethu ukuthi ingangeni shi kuyidakamizwa? This is Expressions right here on SABC 1. Siyabuya. Siphinde sikwamukele Mbukeli ihlala phansi nethezeka noma ngabe ubukufila sibukele khona usabukele Expressions khona la kunqa phambili uSABC 1 Mzansi for sure. Ngaphambi kokuthi siye eyitolo ke Mbukeli bengishilo ukuthi ungashayela ku 0117140631 ukuze nawe ube ingxenye yale ngxoxo. Okwamanje Anonymous is joining me from esifundazweni saKwaZulu Natal. Anonymous ngibingelele ngokwamukele Expressions. Ngiyaphila siswami unjani wena? Ngiyaphila siswami. Ingabe umbono wakho uthini ngehloko esikhuluma ngaso namuhla? Sibonile ukuthi abantu abasha ingathi sebezinikelile kuyidakamizwa because bathi imisebenzi ayikho. Do you think ukuthi vele isimo sinjalo endaweni la sihlala khona?
Mina ngicabanga kwami azani yes sifundile imisebenzi asiyithola kodwa okubalekile ukuthi akumele ukuthi ulinde umsebenzi lo ufundelile. Thatha noma yini khona uzokwazi ukuthi kube khona okutholayo bese uzobeka etafuleni ekhaya ngoba especially uma ungasebenzi vele nasekhaya aluba luhle uthando kubazali. Yes.
Sikhulume mhlambe ngale ngxenye yeyidakamizwa. Ingabe ucabanga ukuthi amaphoyisa kanye nohulumeni enza okwanele ukuze anqande intsha ukuthi ingangeni kuyidakamizwa?
Hayi akezanele lutho ngiyaphika ngapho.
All right. Sibonge kakhulu siswami. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Expressions. Gentlemen, siqhubeke nengxoxo. Usisi just alluded to the fact that it seems like business is the answer. Do you think that abantu abasha ukuthi basukume babhukule bazenzele amabhizinisi wabo is the answer to inkinga yethu unemployment la South Africa?
Yes, I can really support what she's saying. So because now the issue here, it goes way back to the capital. We see that there is small business department that is existing in the country, but then is it supporting the youth enough? Because if it was doing that, we were going to see more of business from the youth. So business is the answer, yes. But then are we getting the necessary support from the government? Because we are the people of the previously disadvantaged individuals, meaning that we are disadvantaged because the capital, we don't have it, but the government has got the money, so it just need to channel it to the relevant stakeholders.
Nicole, just to speak about social pressures briefly, nesesizovala nje. Ngifuna mhlambe ungichazele ukuthi abazali that you deal with, abanabantwana ababuye ema-university kodwa abangasebenzi, are they supportive towards abantwana babo noma they are adding more pressure? Quickly nje sasiqeda.
I think that is subjective, Azania, because yes, parents do support their children. I mean, no parent will send their child to university just to abandon them on the later stage. So the support is there, but then hence I'm saying that it's subjective because on someone else, they might look at this thing with the different lenses from the one that we are currently conversing about right now. However, support then varies. There's emotional support, there's physical support, there's mental support. So with that being said, parents need to also introspect to look at what kind of support they are offering to their children. Are they enough with the mental support as much as they are enough with the emotional support, physical or even financial? Yes. So you'll find that other parents, they do want to offer support, but then the socio-economic status that we are faced with currently in the country, then acts as a barrier for them to offer that kind of support.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Ake Mbukeli ngenxa yesikhathi sizoqoqa la engxoxo yethu njengamanje. Ukhumbule ukuthi uma ngabe unenkinga yedakamizwa, a number is on the screen right now. You can contact Saka ukwazi ukuthi uthole usizo. Okwamanje uMibi is standing by uthi wosh. Happy Youth Day, South Africa.
Chikeche, chamara torin chikeche, mara ke satile moya. Chale fasirin chikeche, chame shumorin chikeche, mara ke satile moya.